Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League. We are in the race number 8, final race of the season, and for season 1 of the 2021-22 year. Nathan Guerra back at you here. Dave Towle next to me. Apologies on the delay in the broadcast. We'll try and get a look at some of the results from some of that which we missed. Looked like it was a solid race this morning for the East and the Women's Central, but we are jumping right on into the South as well as West for the men's and the women's. The South men have jumped out on course just now, and this is going to be a tightly contested battle. Really the story of yesterday, this morning, and today has been bikes, bikes, bikes. What bikes is everybody using? How are they using them? And what kind of advantage at the beginning? I know our viewership this morning for APAC was some of the highest we've ever seen because people just want to know what is working, Dave.
Yeah, I have to think that in the Premier Division, that was proved. Well, it's interesting. The men's winner, Mateus DeRoos, was on his road bike. The women's winner, Kristen Kolchinski, she was on a gravel bike all day. And I tell you what, that was one of the most impressive rides that we've seen in ZRL history yesterday. Countryside in McCurry Island, Countryside Tour. This is a fantastic course. As a matter of fact, I don't know that for a certain type of rider that you're ever going to do better than this. It's really rare, Nathan, that you see more climbing than descending in a race. And out here today, 2.6 laps on this course for 43 kilometers. But what's significant is there's 3 climbs and it ends on a summit finish. Incredibly rare. So you've got your climbers out there licking their lips.
Yeah, as we do take a look at some of the profile here, as we look at the Countryside, and the men are about halfway on over to their first sprint. You got a sprint, that climb you're talking about there, I think it's like 2.5 or so kilometers, half of it dirt all the way to the top. Downhill for a pretty steep descent through also some of that off-road dirt section. Back on over to the sprint, climb again, sprint again, and climb again. And one thing, since it is a team race, we've seen a lot of tactics where riders are going to be using what they need to get the most out of each one of those sections. And even though we saw people with some amazing wins for first across the line at the end of the day on that final King of the Mountain, Queen of the Mountain, we also saw some other teams today earlier taking down awesome points early on. I want to say Emily Watts, as well as Bree Vine coming from Arrow at APAC, had amazing races that ended up winning for Arrow, even though they didn't win on the day outright, perhaps. We also saw in with the men HKL with a solid breakaway there as well with Gallagher. And he was actually on a Tron bike, which stayed away this morning, which was really interesting to see. But HKL obviously not winning on the day, but Arrow and NZ Bro out there showing what they've got for the points that they need to grab in order to win on the overall. We also saw that with Heino yesterday, I think, as well, Dave.
Yeah, well, exactly. So there's a lot to talk about here today. Bike choice, again, will come into play, and bike swapping. I think, Nathan, most folks have accepted that that is not a wise idea. The risk outweighs the reward with bike swap. We didn't see any of that yesterday in Premier. Did you? I don't know if you saw any earlier today in the community, but we'll get back to that. So we've talked about the course. Now we'll take a look at where things are standing now, because this is the final. Remembering that the community has a few differences from Premier. There's more racing in the community, but we're also at our final points race before we move into the playoffs. This is a look at how the points stand, and you can see INC Alien Resurrection with 139 right now. That's almost perfect. Team Italy 1 is in second, but they're actually tied for second with BZR Sport Solid there. So that's going to be very, very interesting, as I believe we can get Martin to confirm, but 2 teams should be advancing from this
2
group.
teams. So that's really right. Team Italy and BZR are on the edge, right? I mean, that's the battle today.
I mean, what
that's
a race.
What we're watching.
Yeah, Nathan, we saw that yesterday with so only 12 of the teams in Premier will remain Premier, and then obviously these playoffs are going to be deciding the community teams that advance. It's worth noting that a community team, next presented by Insured, last year they get the promotion. They won the Premier League this year. That's a fine, hey, how do you do? when you think about the new kids on the block. Absolutely, they not only won the season, they didn't miss a step. They won every single race of the 6 that were on offer. So that story is over. It was all next and short this year. But now, who's going to be the next is the question. Well, it certainly could be one of these teams out here, because this is a very competitive division that we're racing in right now. Again, we'll have the women out here a little in just a couple minutes, but this is the EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa South Division 1. We're jumping in with the A's, and it looks like Team Italy already on the attack. But here we go. It's going to be a battle royale out here today. As Vale of Zed-Sun R trying to come over the top, but it's going to be Foudre here. Foudre rider Thomas making a big effort. This is going to be not only for the first across the line, but possibly fastest. And wow, that was close.
Zed's son, unable to come over the top there. Q&D, look at the speed coming through, though, over the top from the Vision Rider on the Tron bike. Baker slowing right on down, though. But as we did see, BZR Solid Sport were involved there as well as Team Italy. And those are the 2 teams we're really going to be watching out here today. Innovation already kind of have things settled down. DZR over the top immediately. They seem to have a plan. We see the red and white making their way immediately to the front. And I think the plan here, Dave, because of the bike choices, is use the tarmac to their full advantage and this is a perfect plan, actually. If you want to make someone suffer for using a gravel bike out here today, put 4 5-year riders on the front and hammer the tarmac as hard as you can, because if they get dropped, they will most likely not be seen again if you drop them early enough. It's going to be tough, though, because once they hit that gravel, though, those bikes come back pretty quickly. We saw that yesterday with Kolchinski, right? Shalot was off the front, and then halfway up, Kolchinski just comes back, gets back on that wheel, and those steeper sections of the course just are too much for those road bikes. We'll see if this ends up playing in their favor.
Yeah, really, when you look at the rider's 5-minute power, that will tell you a lot of the story that you need to know as to what it's going to take to be successful out here on countryside tours. So you're absolutely right, Nathan. The Danes are obviously trying to make an impact here early in the race. So we're actually working with miles, not kilometers, I'm just realizing. So that's that first sprint comes up pretty quickly here as we'll move in. So today's race is 43.3K. And if I think about miles, that's going to be right around 26.2, something like that. Right in
Dave
there.
is so good with the math. I only do this just to mess with Dave. No, not really. We obviously had a couple of issues, and we had to swap between a couple of our
what
accounts.
is it? Do you have the answer?
This one account is the one that has miles on it, of course. So we end up with that, but our other feeds will be on kilometers. Apologies for that, everybody. But Q&D here now to the front. No, I don't have the answer, but you're always way better at it than I am.
I'll get it here.
I don't even like you on the spot from years of obviously commentating back and forth between American racing and the rest of the world. That's on really weird numbers.
You're exactly right, though. Going back and forth, it's like. But 26.72 miles is what Google is telling me.
Half. We'll give you half a mile.
Yeah, half a mile off. So, back in the day, Nathan, there was a team called CSC, run by former Tour de France winner Bjarne Riis, and they would do things like this: put their whole team on the front, and just really, really set the tone for the racing out here today. But it looks like some other teams are going to take over at this point now, as Lavoie, Vail, Holt, all riding up near the front. It's going to be incredibly active all day out here. Nathan, I don't know that we have any race in the ZRL that has more dynamics being thrown at you with bike change, bike choice, a summit finish, the importance with all of the points that we have. I mean, as we just mentioned, BZR and Italy 1 are tied on the final race to lead into the playoffs. So only one of these two very deserving teams is going to get a chance to punch their ticket into the playoffs. And I should note that those races, we're so excited for this. The 23rd of November and December 4th are the 2 dates for the playoffs. So 23rd of November, Nathan, that's not that far off. That's next week.
Yeah, next week, Tuesday, we're going to be having our first of the playoffs. And then on December, we will be. Is that
Yeah,
right?
the 4th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
December
December
4th on the
4th.
Saturday. So there'll be playoffs going on all day well, not all day. We're going to have all of the divisions all meeting up
All
for a
day for
single
you.
race.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
It is
it's
only one
all
race.
One
We're
race.
condense it
One
down.
race. The
Right.
TTT is different. The TTT next week will be, and the reason, a really cool job by WTRL to make this a lot more palatable to the entirety of the world, because before it was like they had to do a full weekend of racing. The TTT one day, everybody had to get up stupid early hours for whatever, maybe some sections of the world. And now they can do their usual Tuesday and then only have to do a Saturday/Sunday race at one time. That might be a little bit off for when you have to. So you have to completely reorganize your entire weekend here. So that's going to be next week. Be on the watch out for the playoffs here. Vale now from Zedson here. Lavoie now 3 seconds off the back. Looking to try and make a little bit of a move on this Cervelo. It's the fastest on the tarmac, but I'm not sure that's going to be the choice out here today because most of the pack are on gravel. You can see the gravel bikes, though. They've been sitting in the back just trying to hold on and not get dropped. A few of the gravel bikes have been pushed off the back, though, at this point, unable to hold the pace. So it is working to whittle things down a little bit, but I'm not sure it's going to work out for the win in the long run.
Yeah, I honestly think that for a strong rider who's got a high 5-minute watts per kilogram, their power there, that the gravel bike is the choice. You can suffer through these moments, and all of a sudden now it really shifts. That pendulum comes right back into your favor now as you move on to the gravel. This is the first selections have been made out here.
It's a bike swap.
That's concerning.
It's a bike swap to a mountain bike. Vale,
okay, watch this, Chase. Yeah, let's watch this because this is the first time I've seen anyone do this. Now, all of a sudden, that bike swap, so that's what he was trying to do, is build up a little bit of a buffer there, and now he's going to go through the grinder at this point. This is why I don't recommend this.
So I'm wondering, from what Anna was telling me, Anna was saying that the climb is too steep for the mountain bike, that the climb is just too much. We also see Lavoie did it as well, though. So I don't know. Like, Cy Bradley did a couple of tests from what Anna is saying.
Let's look at their watts per kilo. I mean, right now they're making...
This is the true test right now. This is the true test, though. Regardless of a test done on YouTube with, an opinion, if this works, it works, right? Like, that's just the reality.
So how will we know, Nathan, how will we know it worked? Okay, because right now they're making about a watt per kilo more. Well, not really.
No,
actually,
less.
But less. Yeah, right. So they're out of the draft. I mean, at what point can you call this a success? Is a good way to put that.
Once they pass them and win the race.
Right. Right. If they don't, we call it not a wise.
We call it a failure. Yeah, we call it a failure. I mean, he got dropped. That's all there is
so in
to
about
it, right?
45 minutes, we'll have an answer for you then.
I mean, just as whether
I'm
or not,
just not a fan.
I'm a huge fan of it just because we've been waiting to see it. That's the only reason why. I'm not sure it's going to work out for him. But, from what I'm being told and what I'm understanding. Yeah. I mean, they gave it a try. It looks like...
So again, I mean, I'm on record as saying I wouldn't do it nor advise it. I was laughing at Mike Swartz's comments on the in the YouTube comments, which I know they say you shouldn't read, but and with Mike, you're safe. And he was jokingly, tongue-in-cheek, saying he recommends all of their competitors do it in the Premier League, and not one rider did. So I kind of think that the advanced, the highest level of thought out there would be amongst the racers and directors in Premier League. And if none of them are doing it, I would follow that lead.
I'd have to agree with you. I'd still give it a try.
Because you like chaos theory.
I like chaos.
You're a chaos.
I like chaos.
Yeah,
I would go off the front, but if I didn't have 20 seconds, I wouldn't do it. And I'm not sure I would use the mountain bike. I mean, the mountain bike is...
I would have gone to the gravel bike, right?
Yeah, well, the reason being is, from what I'm hearing, the mountain bike is just too heavy on how steep it gets here. If it wasn't as heavy and the gradients were a little bit less, kind of like we see on the Jungle Loop, then it'd be a different story. But it's definitely just a little bit too much. And got to be ready with your keyboard and mouse to be super quick. Herman out the front here from Innovation, though, 189 beats per minute currently. He might be able to take this down on the Grail. It's just a couple of corners here. They're almost at the
Yeah, the
1K
KOM.
mark. Yeah, so 2 seconds, though. Not sure that's going to be quite enough as Team Italy's trying to chase him down. Italy, they've got a lot on the line. BZR got a lot on the line, too. Let's make sure we get an idea of where things stand between these riders because we want to know how many are left in this main pack between those two because it's playoff time for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess for anybody who's just joining us, first off, welcome. We're into the meat and potato part of the season now, as all the appetizers have been finished, waiting for the dessert to come up, because this is going to be, these points are critical. We score points at first across the line. There's KOMs or QOMs, in this case KOMs, and sprints. The sprints score more points. They're deeper. I believe in the sprints, it's 8 different riders collect points, going from 10 down to 1. At the KOM, it's 5 points for the first rider over the line. And we're wondering, so INC is the top team in the league right now, and they're untouchable. There's no real way to imagine them not making the playoffs or even winning the league at this point, or their division, I should say. So they're certainly not, they don't feel a foot on their throat, that's for sure, like BZR or the Italians. A lot of pressure on those two teams today. Nathan, I'll throw it back to you, but I think he's going to do it because that arch is just at the end of this bridge.
Looks like he's done
There
it.
it is.
It's going to have to be Italy here next across line. BZR for third. That's going to be a big deal between those little bits of points out here today. Zanaska's marking his man, it looks like, as well as DeVries. And I wonder if that's one of the team tactics actually here for BZR and Team Italy is to kind of have these team members marked and follow them and try and grab points away. I mean, that's what I'd be doing. If I were a DS, I'd be saying, well, where do you match up against this other team? Who's on that team that you need to try and beat them for points? Who's been beating you for points at exactly these moments? You know, head to head a little bit more and try and grab away as many as you can.
Nathan, if you haven't been following the league, or even if you have, you don't see this power up very often. It runs for 30 seconds. If you asked me what that icon was, if that came up on my dashboard of my car, I would say I have no idea. But that is the steamroller, which I think the best way to put it is the steamroller, no matter what bike you're on or what surface you're on, turns it into a road bike on tarmac for 30 seconds, and then you go back to whatever your reality is. But that steamroller is huge. If you think about it, for the top riders on the climb, the featured climb here, 30 seconds is about 1/10 of the time that you're going to spend on that climb. So that would make a huge difference for you.
Super tucks on the downhill, which is interesting to see. Absolutely flying through the dirt here. As
small
we
group.
Do have, very small group. Petri here. Look at the dirt in the face. You can barely see a thing in front of them, I would think, at this point. Road bike here on the chase with Rutherford. No, he's not. Excuse me. That's actually a Grail. I didn't see the handlebars there. So Petri and Rutherford definitely with some speed here. 37-38. They could get in the super tuck, actually. Steg, as well as the Veritas rider here, also on the chase. They're going to be getting up into some speed. Some of these Tron bikes, though, it's interesting. They're able to hang on a little bit more, it seems. We did see 2 Tron bikes win an APAC, actually. So Emily Watts, alongside in the women's race, she had reserved a ton of energy, grabbed a ton of sprint points, actually, early on, but then backed off on the climbs, just got over the top, came back through on the tarmac on the downhills, and then attacked the final climb on the pavement, built up enough of a gap, and won the race outright, actually, on a Tron bike.
Yeah, I think so. Tron is not allowed, or the concept bike is not allowed in Premier League, but it is in community. And to be honest, I was saying gravel bike would be my choice, but if I had access to a Tron, that would be the bike that I would choose. Boy, this selection has been dramatic. I mean, it all came out here. It's a 2.6 lap course out here today on this Countryside Tour circuit, and they are having at it today. Obviously, the importance of these early points has done a lot of damage to these teams, but that's going to be restarts on the front right now. As we take a look at Blackburn here, Restart having a good day out here today.
Yeah, solid ride here. They're currently with this chase group, as you can see, a couple of riders here, and they are with the Tron bike as well as a gravel that's going to help them along. So they're also from Vision. Let's go ahead and make our way forward, though. This is going to be the main group up front there with Innovation. They've been the dominating force so far in this league. Solid rides from them. We'll try and get some preems up as soon as we possibly can for these riders here. We also do have the men's race kicking off here in a little bit for the West at 1:30, and the women's race out on course. We'll get those images up as soon as we possibly can. But Innovation now, 4 riders. Who has made it is going to be the question. It's going to be BZR. Italy does have 1 rider in here as well. Actually, 2 riders from Italy, and BZR with 2 as well. So they do have a head-to-head situation here. Still playoffs on the line for them then, obviously.
Yeah, you can see the Innovation riders all grouping together there. This has been the story of the season for that team. Fantastic job by Innovation. Rob Wood has really impressed me out here this year. Petri, Vinton also in the mix here. You can see BZR, Nathan, with 2 riders. That's the Belgian blue, that light blue. I think the Belgian national jersey is so beautiful. As you can see, so 2 riders from the Belgian squad, 4 from Innovation. Super impressive. Again, it's just been the story of the season for them. They haven't missed a step.
Yeah, and the dominating force so far, again, if we take a look at the standings here real quickly, this is the situation why we keep talking about Italy and BZR at that 124 tie. That is going to be for second place with 7 races and the playoffs on the line for them. The 2 racers that are in here is going to be Van Alst, it looks like, for BZR, trying to hold things down. Team Italy then with Fumagalli. It's also going to be Zanaska here as well, representing Team Italy. The other BZR solid sport rider that is out here. We'll see if we can find.
I thought, is Panizza up in this group as well for Italy? Or is that the
5
chase?
seconds back. 5 seconds back. And that really matters, actually.
It does. That chase group could make connection here. 5 seconds. It's
there's actually 2 Team Italy.
We're actually watching the chase happen here. That's what 5 seconds looks like on Zwift. It looks just the same in real life. Hard to close that gap. Need a little help from your friends, that's for sure.
Yeah, and there's actually
I think they're going to do it, Nathan.
Team
We're going to
Italy
regroup
riders here. Interesting enough to see.
This is a big moment for Italy. They are loving this right now. Getting 2 more guys back in the hunt for points.
Yeah, and only 2
no
BZR
Belgian, no
up front.
BZRs.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no BZRs in this group. Right.
And a lot of points up for grabs, and the BZR boys might all be on gravel bikes, so this is pretty big if they are, because if they're coming back with road bikes, these preems that are coming up are going to be a huge game changer.
Is this Hal Blackburn or Jeremy Briand? It's Hal Blackburn looking really strong, moving up to the front for restart here. But Nathan, yeah, good catch there. So that last minute was a big move forward for the Italy 1 team.
And now as it does swell, we're going to have, it looks like 21 riders. Mike Swart actually here from the restart team, hanging on in the back.
Speaking of Mike Swart. Yeah.
He's on the Grail there, it looks like. For
if he changes bikes, I'm going to flip out. He won't. Mike does a great podcast called Nowhere Fast that is very enjoyable. He and our man KBH, Kevin Bouchard Hall.
Right down
There's
the road.
certain Zwifters out there. Just down the right now. Mike Swart is in Wisconsin.
Yep. Out of Madison. He's been inviting me to a couple of group rides I haven't gotten to, actually. We'll have to make that happen one of these days. As now, DZR were the aggressors at the bottom of...
Why don't you wait until spring for that? We're moving. I think...
Yeah, we'll stick to the...
Is it snowing in Wisconsin yet?
It is snowing. It is snowing in Wisconsin. Yeah. So I'm definitely not going anytime soon. That's sure.
It's Zwift season in the North Woods of America at this point. I think if you catch a day you can ride outside, grab it, because there won't be many for a few months. There's Mike Swart, the restart rider, that R+ that you can see tagged right into the back of the group here. He's got a couple teammates with him, so Restart's got to be pretty happy with the way the day is going here. That's Panizza, who we were talking about, the Italian rider who was in that chasing group that's now no longer chasing, but has been fully integrated, like at a diner when they, at the end of the night, you have to fill the ketchup bottles. You turn 2 bottles of ketchup into 1. That's exactly what we just saw here. So I think, Nathan, the guys, as we come up on, again, it's going to be in miles out here today, about 26 and a half miles of racing. So the guys just about at the halfway point. But what's significant is in the back half of this race, you've got 2 trips up the feature climb.
Yeah, and that's a lot of times I think some of the viewers might not recognize or realize that this is actually 3 times up and over the top of that KOM. It makes it for a very long and difficult day, and I think some of the riders that just have a little bit more of endurance in the legs are going to be hugely beneficiary. And one thing that you really could do if you are looking for that all-out win is just follow wheels, follow wheels, follow wheels, and wait if you don't think the pack is going to get demolished. It's not necessarily the tactic that we saw from Charlot and Kirsten Kolchinski yesterday, as they just made the race so incredibly hard that nobody was left to go with them at the end of the day. It's another tactic that you can try and play out, especially being on that grail. I think the other thing, the reality of Zwift racing and how the dirt interacts with the avatars, pushing the pace like that with those accelerations really can zap the legs of the other riders, because of the way that you are able to kind of jump away, and it's a lot harder to grab onto wheels. Also, with the new pack dynamics, it does make things a little bit harder to hold on to wheels and to cover moves, because you have to fight for the front. You don't just get to hide in amongst avatars and move through them as easily. Dave, I think you're on mute, just so you know, Dave.
Sorry there, Nathan. I was thinking to myself that this countryside course is going to become one of the most popular with a big segment of our racers out here. Without any doubt, this offers so much of just a great template to race on. And this group right here is really showing us that there's going to be some fireworks the next time up the climb. And Nathan, you know, it's interesting when you look at it, you know, hearing you talking about Kristen Kolchinski and Julia Shalau yesterday, you know, you hear the saying, fortune favors the brave. Well, and that's true. And it makes for great racing. But yesterday, those 2 women were absolute gladiators. They put on a show. And it's one thing to say fortune favors the brave, and you can be brave, but that you could be crazy as well. Those 2 were both insanely strong. It's not bragging if you can back it up, as they say. And I don't know if we're going to see that often, just because it takes not only this massive commitment and belief in yourself, but the ability. I mean, there's a limited number, but we got a sprint coming up here, Nathan. And let's watch what happens now, because they have hit out. This is going to be Fumagalli here. And will this be enough to take these points? I believe we've got a countryside sprint coming up here.
Oh, yeah. Countryside sprint coming on through.
Right.
Fumagalli trying to hang on
there's
to it.
the
200
arch.
meters to go. Innovation's going to end up taking
gonna.
it down. Yeah, it looks like Innovation full on. Lots of points. BZR, though, sneak a couple of points. I didn't see Italy involved very far. They may have got 6th or 7th there with Zinaska. But BZR with some solid points there. Obviously, Innovation taking it down, which is the big, you know, nice job to them. The story of the day is who's going to make the playoffs here, as Innovation have already walked away with this one for the overall. Where, though, is the rest of Italy? Fumagalli now maybe just hanging on that gravel bike. Blackburn off the back here, it looks like. Q&D here, is that going to be one of the dirt teams unable to hang on as well? So it's going to whittle things down to about 14 riders, it looks like, as De Vries here for BZR, as well as Van Elst. Those are going to be the 2 riders that have made it.
Yeah, wow. All right. So these points are so critical. We'll have a chance, I hope, to look at where we stand, because At the finish line now, there's a massive number of points waiting. 50 for the winner, 40 for second, 35 for third. It then tightens up as you make your way down through the 30 different riders that'll score points. So obviously it goes much deeper than this group, but the points really do diminish quite a bit once you get into the back half. The back end money isn't as good as the front end money. I think it's true in movies and it's true in esports racing here on Zwift. But right now, the sprint points, that's not going to be the story as much as the final of the race, Nathan. There's the Danes, once again, starting to see the DZR team moving up to the front in that familiar red jersey. But at this point now, you wonder how the teams have done, because what's really one of the big differences between community racing and Premier is the fastest through segment times. There's a lot of points there. They don't even exist in Premier that teams can target here, which really changes the game. It'll be interesting to see if you had to guess right now, what team do you think has the most points? I think it's pretty easy. Innovation, actually, most likely. Innovation, I think, would have to, but that will kind of take them out of the mix here, because this conversation today is going to be really about the Belgians and the Italians.
It's interesting to me is this Tron bike still able to hang on here, as well as Holt there from DZR. I wonder if we're going to see anything similar to what we saw this morning from APAC because of that. The question, though, I mean, Innovation, they are still involved here. They keep on stealing points away from some of these other teams that are looking for them as well, Dave, as you're talking about,
disruptors,
things,
right?
Yeah, they're disrupting things because there's a plan that Italy has. There's a plan that BZR have to try and take down this playoff spot. But Innovation, the dominating force, just continue to kind of muck things up a little bit for them.
Yeah, it's sort of like in the American elections when you vote for the Green Party, right? It just disrupts things. And it's sort of the same way out here, because BZR and the Italians, wouldn't you think, Nathan, that they would rather just be able to clear out everybody else and race against each other out here today and eliminate these variables that they, there's so many things in racing that you can't control and so little that you can control. And it makes it very, very frustrating. I've said this before, but it's much easier in the sport of cycling, maybe even more so in real life, but now that I think about it, about the same, to help other people not win than it is to win yourself. I mean, you can destroy others' chances quite easily by chasing back everything, or every time they go to the front, shutting it down. But to win, get away from a group or make your mark is so hard to do at this level.
It really is. It really is really, really difficult, as we see, this course, though, does lend to it. That's one thing that's been really cool to watch here with this course and the abilities that it's able to really highlight and bring out. I mean, I've been really, really impressed by that side of things with the way that WTRL in conjunction with Zwift have put together this final, because it has brought out everything that WTRL have been aiming at when it comes to team tactics, riders being able to highlight their specific talents with the sprints, with the King of the Mountain, Queen of the Mountain, with the first across the line at the end of the day. I just am really impressed overall, as well as being able to instigate with the bike selections.
Yeah, I think there's something for everybody, and that was a big goal of WTRL and community racing. And and I also love the fact, Nathan, that we can sit here and focus on the A's, but there are so many folks that are racing in the B's, the C's, and the D's that just have an absolute blast with this. And I mean, you made the point at the top of the show about the conversation around bike choice and bike swapping. It has been fascinating to see just people coming out of the woodwork on this and all the different opinions. But a lot of these racers are not A's. They're folks that, the working man racer or working woman racer out there that have really embraced esports. And part of the fun of this is the mental aspect and trying to look for every legal advantage that you can find. And bike choice is one of the big ways that you can make a difference for yourself.
100%.
What does cykelskift mean in Danish?
No idea.
The answer is no. Yeah.
From Mazda, one of our community streamers.
I'm going to guess, so not knowing any Danish, but I'm thinking that means bike change, bike shift, maybe. And the answer was no, I'm not going to change my bike. I'm going to guess. Maybe our Danish group can
It's not a
chime in and
bad. I
help
don't
me.
think that's a bad guess, actually. I think
Yeah.
you're probably pretty
Well,
spot on
James
there.
Lalonde and I spent about a week in Belgium trying to figure out Flemish. So, it's good for your brain to put yourself in these challenging situations. That's for
How
sure.
did that end up
Well,
working out for you?
not well. We spent about 2 days wandering around looking to get COVID tests done. At one point, it was like a game of Dungeons and Dragons where I was sending him back to my hotel to meet a small blonde woman to give him directions through an alleyway to go, by a church. It was definitely, it was funny. We had a great time though. Restart attacking again. There's that steamroller. You just never. That's a in-game race only power up. You won't see that when you're just riding around having fun on Zwift. Something that we reserve, and you actually don't see it. I've only seen it used one other race, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, one. Yeah, we've only
It's
had it on Seaside. No, not Seaside Sprint.
where
It
was
was
that?
it was one of the Rebel routes that we used it on. I bet you we've got a buddy who can let us know. But it was
The guy in
the
Canada, a
there's some
Canadian
guy in
guy.
Canada that might be able to give us some
Yeah.
information.
Oh well,
He
speaking of that, well, so this is Hal Blackburn, Nathan. Hal has been irrepressible out here today, the restart racer, and he is rolling again. Hal would love to know that WTRL number 138 is for World Bicycle Relief. They raised over 66,000, and you can double that because we had a kind WBR funds match program going. But teams can set their fundraiser up now. We'll get you a link to that. But really, really fun that we're doing that again this year. And that's going to be in early December. I don't have a date right in front of me, but if I remember correctly, it was in the first couple of weeks of December. There's so much going on, Nathan. My calendar is overflowing with cool things. There it is. Thank you, my friend. Oh, Legion is challenging everyone as well, I saw. So you can get out there and race against well, I think it's fair to say the coolest team in bike racing today.
pretty awesome to see.
They are
Number
to me.
138. So be on the watch out for that. WTRL TTT 138. Head over to the website for more information. You'll get signed up for that. It's going to be a ton of fun. There's actually lots of stuff going on. We'll get back into the racing in just a second. We also have the 5th annual Women's Team Championship powered by WTRL. That's on the December 11th that we'll be covering. Myself and Anna Russell will be on that. Also, the Chase Race series for Zwift Racing Chase Race featuring AutoCat is happening.
This is great.
On Wednesday, November 24th. So obviously we are in the main Zwift season. As things are
Can you feel it?
completely
Yeah.
heating up.
Yeah, don't plan on taking any time off in the next couple of weeks, I'd imagine. Actually, Nathan, it is really great to have you back. I know so many people really missed us or missed you the last couple of weeks. So it is really, really nice to be back and reconnecting with our community. Hal Blackburn wants nothing to do with the communities. He's trying to ride them off his wheel out here. Blackburn looks like he's in a cyclocross race, right? Riding on the very edge of the trail where there's the most traction rather than the muddy middle part. As the restart rider, Hal Blackburn there with an advantage. We're going to go over and jump in. It looks like.
Jumping in real quickly with this is going to be the the west that is out on course for the men's race. They're making their way around as we're jumping around real quickly here. Hal's just coming over the top there for a moment, but we lost image there for a second. We did have the men's race, though, making their way out on course, 7.3 kilometers in. They just came through out on the sprint section. Sorry about the jump around there, everybody. As we lost images, we at least had this race up and running here. CLS PTZ. We'll start getting the information and the story going here for everybody in just a second. Huge amount of riders here in this West category, and we'll get the standings for you in just a moment. As they come through that first sprint section here, Dave, that's always going to be a contentious point.
Yeah, you really do. And you can see the team's different tactics. Look how this group is stringing out. Boy, that is rough. There's got to be 20 riders who are fighting for their lives at the back of this group. As right now, you can see a small peloton is forming here. And I believe that they've already done the sprint.
They have done
I
the
think
first
that's
sprint already. Yep.
right.
Up in the
Yep.
upper right-hand corner, and they're on the climb. They're about to hit the section of course where they will hit the dirt. It'll be a left-hand turn in just a few moments here. And it does look like there's a lot of pressure actually on in this West category. Alex Tenselhoff here from WLC. This is going to be that WLC crowd. Tenselhoff actually, I believe, was recently at Iceman, if I'm not incorrect, on the mountain bike and now racing for WLC in game, which is pretty cool to see. Something that just took place straight down the, not right down the road, but across the pond. That is Lake Michigan for me. Pretty cool to see
pond.
it's a pretty big pond. Yeah. But, it's pretty cool to see. What I'm getting at is like, there were tons of Zwift racers actually racing that, one of the biggest mountain bike races. Kabush was there. Tenselhoff was there, I believe.
Who won? It wasn't Alexei Vermeulen, was it? I think I saw he attacked late. I'm trying to remember.
He attacked super late. It was the Orange Seal rider. Oh, come on, Nathan. Up and coming, one of the newest talents on the circuit. Cole Patton took it down.
Oh,
followed
exciting.
up. Yeah, Alexei, I believe, took second. Motter third. Wakely in fourth, actually, at the
So,
Iceman.
for those that aren't familiar, Iceman is an American classic taking place in Michigan, and has always been a big prize money, high prestige race, and it kind of operates in its own orbit, doesn't it? It's not really, it's not part of any series, but it stood alone as one of America's great mountain bike races at a really unique time of the year.
Yeah, it's and that's, I think, the reality of how challenging it is. Create a ton of hype with the kind of hard men, women of the North kind of a thing. Like, come and take down the Iceman, and you were racing mountain bikes in the snow, and so because
it's crazy.
Of that, yeah. Now a little bit of change.
Climate change
warmer.
now.
Yep, exactly. So now it's like. You're not
kind of
back
a
in the day they were looking
race.
for
Yeah.
back in the day they were looking for the snow bikes. They're looking for snow, but now we don't need
studded snow tires and stuff.
Yeah,
and now they're racing on slicks, right? I mean, it's a
Kabush
crazy
as
world.
well as come on now, Wells was there as well on
Troy.
Troy was also on a gravel bike. They were on, or something along those lines. I'm not even sure what that bike was. It was like a mixture.
A cyclocross bike, I think, which isn't that different than a cyclocross bike. Is that this is going to be Clavin that we're looking at electricspirit.co, or as I've called them hundreds of times, Electric Spirit Company. I hope that they laugh when they hear that. It's a gin manufacturer, gin purveyor. I don't know what the term is. Distiller would be the word, but it's all come back together here on a uphill pitch through the gravel. You can see the grade at about 4% right now. Wahoo Lacole, out the aforementioned Alex Tenselhoff moving forward.
And seeing if we can get a good idea of what the battle is going to be here for WLC as well as Jet, because we do see that Jet and WLC seem to really be battling things out here right now. Tenselhoff now 5.3 toward the front, up and over the top.
Really steep here.
Yeah, this gets into that 8%. The perfect time for the steamroller, actually, as Tarek takes over.
Yeah. Well, and look at it. Apparently, they're listening or certainly agreeing. Look at all the steamrollers being deployed right now. It's 30 seconds, the duration from when you hit the button. One of the rules in Premier, and I don't know that it necessarily is being enforced in community, is that you need to do all of it yourself. You need to manually. You can't have a helper or a squire who's pushing the buttons and running your equipment for you. It would help. That's for sure. Strong move from Guerra right now. The German rider here is going to put him in a world of hurt.
Yeah,
German rider, but is this
the SGAB team out of Germany? If we take a look here real quickly to get an idea of what they're up to here. And is that going to be the SG Atletico? They're 1 second off a Jet. So this is going to be quite the story to be talking about here in the West for the mixed division here.
So you know what? And that's, Nathan, to be honest, that's a tie. 126 and 125, because one of these teams, if they end up with a tie, on points. It's the most recent result, I believe. Or it might go to your best placed rider, but I think it's most recent result. So with that being the case, basically those two teams are deadlocked. Now, we have changed races for you here, and this is now a separate race. So we're looking at a new leaderboard there. That Belgian-Italian story was in the previous race that we were with. So these are all new teams that we're looking at here.
Yeah, we can bring in some information there about that in just a moment. We'll see if we can get those images up. Apologies again, guys. Like, it's been a rough one on a couple of the bringing some of the races in here.
This was like getting the bike out of the garage, like after not using the bike for a couple of weeks, and it's got the flat tire, and then you forgot that your saddle was loose and your handlebar tape is now unwrapping. We're getting everything back together here after a couple of weeks off. We apologize. My lights are messed up. Everything's crazy today.
Garrick here now continuing his attack here. Feather power up on the Grail. It's going to be Lemos here from PTZ. Now, McKellen there coming from AHDR, Tenselhoff, WLC, trying to close things down. It's a 5-second gap, 7 seconds now. It's really spread out. We saw this yesterday. We saw it this morning. This section, of course, makes it so hard. You can't sit in very easily here. Now we're going to see the grifters here with Eccleston now coming off the back here. Fisher now from Team CLS trying to hang on. This is going to be trying to hang on within that top 20 or so. Tenselhoff looking to go across. WLC still hanging on, but it's SG. AB looking for those points over the top, and this is going to matter hugely for that playoff position. And as you said, is it the last result on the day? I think it is, Dave, and they are making a statement against Jet, and Jet only have Iwa here, from what I can see, still hanging on.
Yeah, let's do some inventory. Look how this race has absolutely blown to bits, and that arch is right there, so that's going to score points once again. I apologize that we don't have all of our data at our fingertips for you, but these points are going to be critical here. So we're moving back to kilometers with this group. You can see 11.8K into a 43.3 kilometer day. But that's a small group. This course really wears on you. Only the strong survive out here today. And there goes a Tron bike up the road. It looks like we might have a little group of 3 coming together as Tenselhoff about to tag on to Garricky, who's been unbelievably strong. But now they're all going to come back here. Well, when I say they're all going to come back, this will be a group of 10 riders. Not even.
Yeah, 13 with Turner
10.
off the back here. So 13 seconds with,
what
as
is
you did
that
say?
thing?
What's that?
Popping over there. On the right-hand side of the course, there was an Easter egg I've never seen before. Did you see that?
See what you're talking about. Whatever just surprised Dave. Oh, yeah. There's a giant. What is that guy?
A frog?
What do we even call that guy? That guy's the coolest thing I've ever seen. Well, I haven't ridden this course a whole lot, and somebody's like, come on,
crazy.
Nathan. It's a fox. That's some
I'm going
to
go with frog. But
I don't think that's a frog. That's some sort of gaming Japanese anime character or something.
Yeah.
Something's going. Where'd he go?
Well, it was really exciting.
We need to. It was really exciting. It's the most important part of the whole race. What is that guy? I mean, he's got to have a name. Chat. What is it? What's the name? I mean, there's a wolf. I mean, McCurry Islands is the coolest ever.
There's a stork. I think that bird is some type of stork or crane. Maybe crane would make more sense for Japan. And then, boy, unfortunately, I don't speak that language either. That's going to be Portuguese. I think we're seeing now in the chat here. This is the in-game chat that the riders have. Here's your front group of 9. So the dirt continues over the top of the climb. Obviously, they didn't just pave it one side. And there you go, dropping back onto the tarmac now. Here's our front group.
Let's take a look at these bike selections as so
HDR. The double handlebar.
Look at AHDR. Look at this.
So that is a grail when you see that double handlebar set up. That's the easiest way to pick out. So what the front 3 riders are all on gravel bikes, actually. Almost everybody. So throw out the Tron bike. I think it's all gravel except for 1, maybe 2.
Which is the Tron from PTZ. That's going to be Lemos, actually, from what I can tell.
So
Yeah,
I think that just about everybody in this group has opted for gravel.
I'd agree with that statement 100%. Looking through here at the current standings, HDR Cape Crusaders, they're at 113. There's no way they're getting involved for a top two situation. So it's still all about Jet with Beatty, Iwa, and Garricky. Garricky's got to hold it down here for the SGAB because it's that 1 point differentiation. I don't know if one man can do it all by himself. He's going to have to take down the sprint, the climb. I mean, this might be too much of an ask. There's still plenty of points up for grabs, but he's got to really time everything that he's got out here today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the common knowledge says that one man can't, especially when look at AHDR here. What a great jersey they have. Really stands out nicely. And they've got 3 riders in this 9-rider group. But yeah, Alex Tenselhoff in the same situation. There's just not one man is so stretched out here.
On the chase now.
Up
This
against
is
these
part of
strong
the
teams.
conversations a lot of times too in this back end of the race because of the reality of any kind of road bikes that might have got dropped off. We got a PTZ rider here on a road bike. Turner from R3R though on the Grail, it looks like. Or yep, on the Grail. The Tron bike here with Eccleston now trying to get back on terms. Not sure that's going to be working out for him if he's already got dropped once. Emily Watts, though, this morning got dropped a couple of times, got back on terms, and then attacked like a maniac and won the race. So I said that this morning, oh, she's out of the race, and she completely proved me wrong. It's only 15 seconds. Those Grails up front are not going to be traveling as fast as these two bikes. I think they're going to get back on terms here because of the speeds.
Yeah, I mean, it really is interesting how one moment you've got an advantage and then you're behind the 8 ball, then you're back into your wheelhouse when you talk about these bike choices here. So you can see Matos, the PTZ rider, on a road bike, and it shows, doesn't it, right now? I mean, he's flying here, obviously making the right watts too. But so Tron bike should be just fine in that situation. The other power-ups that you can use today, you can see the draft, which increases the draft effect that you're receiving by 50%, and that's also for 30 seconds. I don't think that's anywhere near as desirable as having the steamroller in your quiver today. Steamroller is the one you want.
Yeah, Steamroller, I think, is really where it's at. I have to agree with you there, Dave, that when it comes to any of the power-ups out here today, Steamroller is going to be the biggest advantage. Philippe trying to come across
Feather probably more useful on a course like this. So if I was going to rank them, I would go Steamroller, Feather. Then the Feather reduces your weight by 10% for 15 seconds. That can be critical. But again, Steamroller on a course like today, 1/3 of the circuit, and we do 2.6 laps in this race, is gravel. That's a lot of gravel. Basically, 1 lap of the 3, if you think of it that way, is going to be on gravel today.
Not a bad idea here coming from Beatty. And was that actually going to be excuse me, Philippe Mateus, as he was dropped off on the climb on that. I'd get together with his teammate who's also on a Tron bike and just start attacking. Oh, excuse me, his teammate's not on a Tron bike. Philippe's actually, I believe, on a gravel bike. No, he's on a Dogma. Excuse me. So Lemos and Matos could maybe organize something here for PTZ and give it a go. Perhaps they're going to wait for those sprint points, but those gravel bikes will get put on the back end. And there is a reality that there might not be enough bodies here to work together to bring them back, perhaps. I'd be taking every advantage I possibly could at this point, unless they're just looking for those sprint points, perhaps. But with where they're at in the standings overall right now, I'm not really sure that that's going to be, any much sense. I mean, they're sitting down at 74 points right now. Today's just about bragging rights for them.
Just to give some context as we've been jumping around, Nathan, can we take a look at the standings here again for the season? We're into our final race before we head into the playoffs. And this is the real story. So Veritas there is a Portuguese-based team, and they've been dominant this year. As a matter of fact, there's no way that I don't see them making the playoffs coming up on November 23rd and December 4th. Now, Jet Racing Team and SG Atletico, and that's the German team that we've seen, Guerra, being very active for. For all intents and purposes, they're tied here, 126 to 125. And that really is the story of this race happening right now, is only one of those two teams is going to advance into the playoffs. They've been working so hard all season long to get to this threshold, but only one team gets to go across. So it's going to be interesting. So knowing that, then, AHDR wishes they were a little bit closer because they're having a great ride out here today. You can see Wahoo Lacole sitting in fifth with 109, and they're going to have to hope to have a good ride to hold on to fifth because TBR 52 Teeth is just at 107. But story there, Jet and SG Atletico. We'll see again now. Knowing that, we can go back to this Peloton or the front group
Look
here.
at this. Look at this, Dave.
It's going to be a Peloton. They're going to marry these two groups together, aren't we? So they looked around at each other enough up there, didn't keep the foot on the gas. We're going to have a much larger front group now. It's going to triple in size.
Well, it's all of these road and Tron bikes here in amongst this pack traveling along at 47 kilometers per hour. Up ahead are all the gravel
Working
bikes that
together.
got the break, and boom. Now we've got a group of almost 25 plus riders, perhaps. WLC are involved again at the front of this race. Veritas. I mean, it really changes things up from what we usually see in Zwift racing, doesn't it, Dave? Having these different bike selections.
You would not see what we just witnessed on any other day. But because so many riders are, well, it's almost split right down the middle because I'm going to count a Tron bike as a road bike for sure. And you see it's really split into thirds, isn't it? 1/3 Tron bikes, 1/3 gravel bike, 1/3 road bike. Maybe even a little less than 1/3 when you talk about just going standard road bike. A lot of Trons. Look how they've all moved to the front, too. Clearly, this is a moment where they have the advantage. They just rode back up into this group because they made that bike choice, but they'll be on their back foot again here momentarily. This one just goes back and forth.
If you take a
really
look
exciting.
at riders like we saw Tenselhoff here just a moment ago on the back, they say it's like moving through sludge. From what I've heard, when it comes to you've constantly have this
like riding on wet carpet.
And these other bikes are just slippery smooth through these sections, as you can see, just able to kind of. The only thing is that there's so many of them from so many different teams to attack right now. It's just going to get covered. And you're going to pull the gravel bikes along with you. So Eccleston's got a big ask for him here to try and make something happen with this.
Yeah, and it really, I think we're going to start talking about with the 4 different opportunities to garner points before the finish line here today. Looking at the course, we're just coming up on the midway point of the race right now. So there's still a lot of points to be won in the preem sprints or the bonus sprints and the KOM that we have here. I think there's some riders that are going to be targeting that, other riders targeting the end of the race.
That's a really good point. Are there any SGAB riders that came back? Garrick's here. Jet riders here.
Well, here's the sprint
as well. We're into it now. And TBR now looking to steal some points. He's got a solid gap on that Tron bike. Not sure he's going to get caught. Here comes.
Look at this, though. Jet is the only team. I think that Jet, when you're talking about the
Johansson actually took it down. Johansson took it down ahead of the Jet rider, Beatty, I believe, though.
Oh, there you go. So give the Germans a bit of an advantage there.
So they still have Johansson, and they got Garrick in here. Garrick seems to be their climber, obviously, as he broke away early on. Jet with Beatty.
Johansson is clearly a sprinter.
Yeah, and he brought the right bike for the job, didn't he?
How did Beatty do in that sprint? I don't know that we're going to have access to that data immediately, but I think Beatty got up there. But 10 points going to the German team here. refresh for you. These points are scored at the intermediates and then the finale. Each team, you take all of the points that your team members garnered along with yours and add them together. And that's where you sit. One rider dangling off the front now. This is going to be Veritas Nunes. This team is getting better and better.
Yeah, this is going to be, when it comes to watching the playoffs, this has been a team we've talked about since last season. They really showed up this last season and suddenly were on the radar. And we said, watch out for them next season. They are going to be in the hunt for Premier Division, and they've done exactly that. As you can see, they completely have dominated this division at this point, and they will be going to the playoffs here. The question is, are we going to see, and the other thing is, we saw it from Next, as you just said. They qualified, they jumped in, they won. Okay. Now I feel like there's kind of like 3 or 4 more teams like that. The level's just getting higher and higher coming out of the community where there's recruitment happening and drafting. And these teams are really starting to figure out, how do you make this happen to win at the highest level here? And the Veritas and other teams like this in the community leagues, I think, are really going to challenge some of these household names in the Premier Division, I think, coming up out into Season 2. And I'm excited to see how this plays out. Watch out for this team in the playoffs, I say.
Yeah, speaking of that, Nathan, I'm really wondering now, the Wahoo Lacole women's team, they should be an exciting addition into. So Premier League is going to change quite a bit here. Only 12 teams that were racing this season will be back for the next season, which is going to start in early January of 2022. So 12 teams adding in the 3 community teams that will get their promotion will make for 15 teams. So the league is going to be, they're tightening it up a little bit, going from 20 teams down to 15, which actually I think is a great idea. It's going to make things even a little more competitive. And that Wahoo Lacole team, Maud Lemieux and company, very, very strong.
We can speak to that real quickly as these guys get into the climb, actually. We did want to get the images here from this race, and Wahoo Cole, they have walked away with it. The battle for No Pins R3R women's e-racing team wasn't really going to be there. CryoGen there needing 5 points. Obviously, it's going to be those 2 teams qualifying for the playoffs. We'll be watching them, obviously, next week for their TTT and then on Saturday for the points race. So those are the 2 that are going through if they do accept their invites. I'm assuming Wahoo Cole, this has been their push. I mean, I know I'm 99% sure that Wahoo Cole are accepting. No Pins R3R. Now, that's another question.
And, the other one that I'm curious about is, what are the plans at Roca Corba as well? Ashley Mulman-Passio's team. Do they there are some teams in community that could absolutely hold their own, if not even do very, very well in Premier League, but they choose to race in community. I'm thinking of Sisu, I Race Like a Girl with Catherine Curie and company. That team is premier quality, without any doubt. But they choose to race in community because it works for them. And they're not the only one. Especially in North America, if you're a professional or have a professional career where you can't take Monday afternoons off, you can't race in Premier League, but almost everybody can get 6, 7 o'clock in the evening off if you're a professional. This is Roca Corba that we're looking at. Look at that. SZ Sin. They should be very happy with the season that they've had, as it looks like these 2 teams, then they have qualified for our playoffs coming up starting on November 23rd.
Yeah,
but what do you think,
I'm
Nathan?
wondering
Have
here,
you heard from
SC
them?
Zin being right there with them is going to be interesting. I wonder if some experience is coming to play. SC being one of the most experienced Swedish Zwifters out there, perhaps playing a little bit of a role here in how they're able to do this.
Well,
the TTT on Tuesday might be something that SC could play to their advantage.
I agree. By the way, I don't know if you received a package from Sweden at your house.
I should go get those cookies actually right now.
Well, do you still have some left?
I haven't eaten any of them. I'm saving them. I've been saving them for broadcast, Dave. We're supposed to have an eating competition. We're supposed to have some sort of cookie off here. Like where we're eating. Who is the winner? Chris S is wondering amongst. Chris, you're gonna have to wait for teams. All the Swedish Swifters are gonna have to wait. We're gonna have like a special where it's like pre or post broadcast. Show up for okay. Here's the taste tests on who's gonna win, and we'll definitely. I don't eat all your cookies, Dave. That's gotta happen.
You know what? I haven't. To be honest, so thank you so much to Martin Bjorkvik and Jim Withers as well. Jim sent some more honey over recently, but
I got a bunch of little bears, like really cool.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. Into the broadcast and show them to everybody.
We really should, because we've got some very, very special people in our community. So Martin over in Sweden sent us both packages that had representing all of the different candies and cookies and coffee. Actually, I assume you got some coffee in your package as well.
I've been drinking lots of that espresso.
Yeah, La Bamba.
What are the names? They're all named after the teams. Amazing.
Right. So what Martin has really done is helped connect us to the candies and the sweets and the cookies that the team races under their team names, and we really, really appreciate it. So I'm glad I remembered. It's been a couple of weeks since we've received those packages, just because of are missing a couple of broadcasts, and we're really excited to be back, and just want Jim and Martin to know how much we love you guys and appreciate it. Steamroller there. That sure looks a lot like the next jersey. It's not, as that is Team CLS. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Team CLS is going to be on the right-hand side there on that gravel bike. As you can see, the black and orange and green there. On the front, it's going to be TBR. With M. Slim on the attack. PTZ following close. We do have a question here coming in from Chilambalan. Wondering who's going to win the Tron? Is the Tron going to win or the gravel bike on the day? And that was the question in APAC we saw this morning.
That's
the Tron
question. That's a trick question. You can't know because we've seen it. Just looking at Premier, one race was run on a road bike, one was won on a gravel bike. It's going to come down to the athlete, the engine. There 100%. Are bad choices, but yeah, absolutely an exceptional athlete. I think Kolchinsky would have won if she was on a big wheel yesterday.
There is a big wheel that you can.
That's right. There is.
There is a big wheel in game. It's only cosmetic.
It's not super popular, is it? I don't think. Yeah.
No, not super popular. So it's super popular on April Fool's Day, as everyone logs in and rolls around on their.
What the heck is going on?
Yeah, wondering why am I on this? Real quickly here, I want to chat to this Zwift Racing League community competition stats as we finish out our league here, and these riders do make their way up and over the top of this climb. They're at about 1.5K to go, but looking at this is absolutely amazing. The Zwift Racing League community competition per week, 1,741 active teams, 17,000 team members. We look at 14,856 unique participants here. Men and women there, 13,000, 3,457 women, 121 countries, 136 divisions across 17 leagues with 971 races and 8 hours of the ZCL broadcast, which got cut a little bit short at 8. Usually, I think we're usually up in the doubles of that, and so pretty awesome to see what we've been able to accomplish here. With the whole community. We want to say a big shout out to the community that's shown up, signed up, got organized, and has raced in this season 1 of the 2021-22 season. Really, really helped. I mean, without the participants here, this doesn't get established the way that it has. So huge here from the Zwift community that's really accomplished this alongside of WTRL and the support of Zwift. Garrett Key here looking to do it again, though, and this is crucial for their playoff position.
Yeah, this guy is really playing his role for the German team, Atletico, no doubt about it. Is this going to be Garrick's steamroller? It seems like it hangs in there. That 30 seconds is massive right now. So what he's doing is basically, doesn't matter what bike he's on, doesn't matter the surface. He's experiencing what it feels like to be on a road bike on smooth tarmac up until right now. When you see that power-up has now disappeared, that looks like Alex Tenselhoff now. He's got good legs, doesn't he?
10%
Tenselhoff.
gradient here. Here we go. They're about halfway, Dave. Is that right? No, they're less than halfway. This is going to be about less than K to go, right? I mean, where is that 1K to go banner? It's already far past, about 500 meters here. Tenselhoff versus Guerra. Iwa is 4 seconds back. They may be watching Jet's ability to get into this playoff, walk away from them. But Beatty is still there. The question is how far back is Beatty? Because it's important. What kind of points is he going to get out of this is the question. That's what I'm wondering.
Well, it only goes 5, 3, 2, and 1 points at the KOM. This is not a sprint line. This is a KOM.
5 points?
So
that's good. 5 positions. That's it? Tenselhoff tries to steal it. 4? Okay.
Yep, so Tenselhoff, 4. Yeah, 5 for the points for the first over the line.
Did Iwa get
3 for second. So I'm going to say Garrick got it.
But Iwa here, though, did he get anything from Lemos is what I'm wondering. I'm wondering whether or not he was able to get that 3rd or 4th position, because that will matter at the end of the day with for Team Jet.
Yeah, so the reason we're so focused on these two teams is they are tied with only – so basically you're on the Titanic. There's a lifeboat, but it's only got 1 seat, and you're looking at another guy who wants the same seat as you. That's the situation that these two teams are in. Only one of you is going to survive this day. It's not fun to think about it that way, is it?
It's not. It's like, why are we dying? I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we're on the Titanic and we're all crying, Dave.
That might be a little dramatic, but basically,
you're not going to make it, Jet. Jet, you're not going to make it. Oh,
I've been reading too many Tintins lately, I guess. But so Jet Racing and SG Atletico are really locked into a great battle out here today. Veritas is playing with the house's money. There's no imaginable way that they don't qualify or actually hold on to win the season here, the regular season. But just like I'm trying to think, is there a sport that doesn't have a playoffs? Probably not, because it's all about making it into that selection. And Veritas, the Portuguese team, has done all they need to do out here. It's going to be fun to see if they do make it into the Premier League, how they can do up there. It'd be really nice to have a Portuguese team.
Really quick here, as these guys, I mean, this is all going to come back together for a moment here on the gravel bikes, and then we most likely will see a similar situation to what we saw last lap, and they still have SGAB here involved here with Beatty, so this is still a part of the battle for some of those sprint points when we get on the lower slopes. They are on gravel bikes, interestingly enough, though, here. As I looked through, I thought that one of the other SGAB riders were on a road bike, and that is going to be Johansson, but he's a full 22 seconds back here. We'll see if he can get back involved. It's a pretty big ask at this point, I think, to get back a minute, Dave, but we'll see on the lower slopes if he does get involved with that sprint.
No one is coming back from a minute back at this point. I couldn't imagine that. Big ask.
Yeah, pretty.
Boy, this is all over the shop, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, it's totally blown apart. Earlier, we were in with the South Division. I just want to really quickly highlight those results as we were unable to grab those images for you. But the big question earlier, if you were part of the broadcast, was Italy versus BZR. From what I see in these results, I'm not sure where BZR were at with the points. It does look pretty good for Italy. Nothing official right this second. I'm going to see if I can grab some standings for everybody to give you an idea, though, because it was tied, wasn't it, Dave? Correct?
Yeah, it was. It was dead even. But really, when you look at it here, Nathan, that second place for Davide is huge, because 50 points, but it doesn't really. INC Alien Resurrection, they win the season.
I got it right.
So it was Italy. It had to be.
Yeah, 143 to 142. Team Italy end up winning it on the final here, so they will be going. I want to be clear. Those points barring anything. These are preliminary during broadcast. We have results here. Barring anything through to next week, this is the current standings as they stand. So it looks like Team Italy.
I don't even think it was that close, to tell you the truth. I don't think so. That makes it look like Team Italy won by 1 point today, but that's the season total that you're looking at, not today's total. I have a feeling that Italy beat BZR by 20, 25 points today.
They definitely showed up to race. You could tell with the aggression that they had. That's for sure.
And I want to be clear, when we're talking about points, there's different groupings of points. There's the season total that Nathan was just showing us there. And then there's the points that you earned today. There's the points that your team has today. And then we start breaking it down. We take that table and move it into the 20 points for the winning team, 19 for second. And that's the total that you were just looking at there, which explains it looks like Italy. And again, these are preliminary results, but it looks like Italy is going to advance into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's so great. I'm loving all of the competition that's going on here and the ways that these teams are battling it out to get into those finals. Jet are involved here still at the front, obviously. One rider, SG8B. This German team still involved as well. Romney here now, as you can see, on a gravel bike with one Jet rider right next to him. That's going to be Beatty also on a gravel bike, as you can see. They do have a couple of road bikes in here that are going to be increasing their speed. Up ahead, though, 28 seconds here, Dave, and there's one Tron in here that might keep the speeds high. What I'm wondering if Lemos is playing an Emily Watts situation here, because Emily Watts did exactly this, made it back to the lead group each time, and then bam, just kicked it.
From 30 seconds back, though?
No. This is the lead group. This is the lead group, and we do have Lemos here.
Emily Watts was chasing back into the lead group from that far back, is my question?
She was way back, got back involved, took down, I think she even contested for the sprint, I'm not sure, but then attacked from the bottom on the tarmac, on the Tron bike, got a 30 to 40 second gap, and won the race outright.
Wow. That's super impressive. It really is. That's almost like coming back from the dead out here. But here we go. Front group down to 10K to go. Feature climb. That last climb, it's about 5 minutes or so for the top riders here. You'll see a lot of 5-minute power being set. A personal best and 5-minute power being set, I should say, as taking some inventory here. I have a feeling that Tenselhoff just might win the race today individually. There's always a lot of prestige that goes with that as well. Bike racers will always be bike racers and want to get over that line first. And that's Tenselhoff that we're looking at right now. A couple AHDR riders, the Australian Hump Day Ride group, and represented by Australia and Germany. Yeah, it's certainly not all Australians.
Yeah, racing against some of the top mountain bikers this past weekend at the Iceman here. I think he was within the top 20 or so, Tenselhoff. Is anyone swapping bikes? We did see one bike swap TR play. We do see the question coming on through. It didn't work out too well. They were no longer involved in the race shortly after, but they swapped to mountain bikes, interesting enough. So I'm not sure that was the bike choice on the day. Really, really dynamic racing. If you are looking for the bike swap, you're going to have to really be a gamer at the end of the day, I think, if you're going to make that happen.
Well, I'm going to go back to what I said. The risk far outweighed the reward, and those guys never even made it back, right? So I think that kind of puts an end to that discussion. Much like the crit beef discussion in America, it didn't go on that long.
Well, we better have this course again, and I'll be racing community next season or the season after, and I'll give it a go, and Dave can commentate on that and see how it goes. I'm just kidding. Well, actually, I might not be kidding.
Actively rooting against you. Yeah,
I'm not kidding. I will do that. I'll put my word to that. All right, I'm gonna make it work, and I'll be doing all of the different calculations. I'll be getting Anna's whiteboard out for me, and we're gonna make a bike swap work somehow in one of these seasons.
What did Anna say? What was Anna's opinion on it? Because
she put it on the line that if Emily Watts wins the race, it was her as well as I believe Gallagher this morning. If they won the race on the Tron bike, it was now her favorite bike. There was like a 1.5 to go and 20 seconds, and we thought it was going to get brought back, and neither of them got brought back. And she said, "Well, now the Tron has to be my favorite bike after all this time." She's forever a fan of the Tron bike. Her opinion's completely changed. So I don't know. She also said though what she's doing for Riot. She said, "I'm not going to reveal our tactic, but what it sounded like for her tactic for Riot tonight has a lot more to do with each specific rider's ability and not a single selection. It was really about what each rider was going to be up to.
Yeah, I can only imagine how they'll deploy their assets out there. Grossman will be going for certainly, I would imagine first lap she's going to try to take the FTS and the FAL and see if they can get out in front of it with points. That would be, I mean, that's obviously Anna's a very experienced racer and director, understands all of the elements of esports, and they're going to be really. Riot is another team that, if they chose to, would more than hold their own in Premier, but they seem to really enjoy racing in that community group that they're with. I completely understand that. We were having that discussion with the crew. Why would any team that had the ability not race in Premier League? And it turns out there's some pretty good reasons.
Well, I mean, there is a reality that
life is the
reason. If I want to race my bike, I still race at a professional license level, but I just want to stay around my family, right? Like I just want to hang out in the Midwest. And if I want to go and get a pro contract at a really, really high level right now, I would have to commit to certain things that just would take huge amounts of time, huge amounts of travel. Now, you don't necessarily have that at Premier Division, but even at Premier Division, there are more stressors. There are more, you have to show up only at this time. You have to do a lot of different things to race at that level. So there are still asks, though, that are a part of that Premier Division level. As we have Lemos here doing exactly what I was talking about. This is the Emily Watts. This is the Gallagher from this morning here. APAC was won just like this, and PTZ are employing that tactic. They had 20-plus seconds when they hit the sprint point. They're going really early. Now, here's the thing, though. It might not be early enough, Dave. Only 5 seconds as they hit the sprint point. He might just be looking for first across the line points here because they're going to close down some of this time really quickly looking for points across this sprint.
Well, this is interesting. So I'm with Anna. The Tron bike, so it's not available in Premier, but it is available here, and I would say it's the top choice. This is an outstanding effort from Lemos right now. So the Portuguese rider, he's still making they're not bringing him back, at least in the next minute or so, as his watts are massive. And yeah, the gap is actually at 11 seconds right now. So here they come. They're initiating their sprint, but sprint points go much deeper than KOM points. 8 riders will score points.
This
10
could be
for the
it.
First over the line.
This could be everything for SGAB versus Jet right here to the line. Is he going to hold? He holds off. That might be the points that matter.
Well,
I'm not sure. I'm just hyping this up a little bit. But Garrick keeps on beating Jet.
Yeah, but we're talking about minor points right now. There's a lot of points waiting at the finish line still.
True.
We're talking about 2-3 points here where the win is 50 points, 40 for second.
But he's beat them every time. Those points do chip away.
No, I agree. And certainly it's better than the other way.
And his teammate took down the sprint earlier too, right? His teammate, they're together
but
here
these
too.
Sprints are not the finish. The finish of this race is a 5-minute effort on a climb. It's not a sprint on tarmac. It's a gravel climb. So it's apples and oranges.
Very true. Very, very true. So what's the prediction?
But it's a good sign.
SGAB and Garrick. I don't know. I just like how Garrick is just taking the race to Jet right now. And I mean, either team deserve a spot with how much effort they've put out here. It's just exciting to see this guy go up against the Jet team here. I think they're a little bit on the back foot because there is one Jet rider between that might be able to grab some extra points in the top 10. And that really does matter at the end of the day, Dave, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Nathan. No question. So right now, look at this. Going to merge 2 groups back together. Let's see how big this gets. It's almost doubling in size right now. Some of the familiar names out here today as we're getting into the final. This is it. Look at all those flags.
What happened to Lemos? Is Lemos just off the back now?
He's in there. No, he
got caught immediately after the sprint. I thought he was going to have a gap, but it got shut down real quick.
I would think that was his plan. I think that was an effort to get those points.
Gotcha.
Nothing more. But we'll see. This is going to be interesting, isn't it? We've got 5K to go here. What an amazing world this is when you're out on McCurry Islands, countryside tour, getting down to it here. This is going to be Bastos, the Portuguese, just phenomenal this year. They've got so many talented riders out. Actually, that's, fellows that we're looking at. Yeah, my bad.
See if we can bring up some of these sprint points.
Also
here.
speaks to, I mean, we've got riders 11 minutes down, Nathan, or even more than that, in only 54 minutes of racing so far. So it really shows you this front group is pouring it on here.
3 seconds is all they got. The thing here is that there's a lot of Trons left in that chase group, which is going to make things a lot more difficult to really open up a gap now at this point. You know, if there weren't so many Tron bikes and it was a solo Tron at the front with gravels chasing, it'd be a lot different. But a lot of these gravel bikes are just getting pulled right back into it.
Yeah, the gravel riders really, I mean, it's being patient and just sitting in that group while the Trons do the work. It's the name of the game, because then it shifts back into your wheelhouse for the finale. So all you're doing now is keeping your head above water if you're on one of these gravel bikes and knowing that you're going to have an opportunity to really strike with authority. This is going to be brutal, this last 5 minutes of racing here. Last 10 minutes of racing here.
Absolutely going to be brutal here. As you can see, getting brought right back in. What's the prediction here? I think it's going to be a gravel bike on here. I don't think the Tron's going to make it happen. I think the Tron needs a lot more distance at this point. And unless they can open up to 30 seconds or so, we're going to see someone like Tenselhoff. You know, Fellows, I'm not sure is really going to have what he needs here to make this happen, being on that Tron. You need a huge buffer. And now Jet with 2 riders involved here. CLS is here as well. Some of these bigger names now are making their way to the front and just getting pulled along by these road bikes and Tron bikes.
So Nathan, help me out. Let's do some inventory here, because these points at the final, and that the only points that remain are waiting at the finish line now. Anytime you see a Portuguese flag, throw it out. Well, they could take away points from the teams, but I'm looking for now are 2 teams that are battling for that final playoff spot. And so the German Atletico team, how many guys do they have here?
I'm not sure.
Not enough.
Good call. I'm not sure there's enough at all. I'm only seeing Guerra here, I believe. Do we have any other blue? Yeah, it's only going to be Guerra. So Jet, they do have 2 here. The question is, can they make it difficult enough that they get
if they can
back?
If they can get 2 into the top 6, it's their day. But if Guerra wins and they only get 2 in the top 8, it might not be enough. It's going to be really, really close. No, but I definitely think the Germans are a little bit behind the 8 ball right now. It's not ideal for them. It's going to be, I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Looking through now, they're about to take that left-hand turn. You can see in the upper right-hand corner on the mini-map, it's right there. And the Tron bike's toward the front, looking to try and set up and maybe fade climb a little bit here, Dave.
Yeah, here we go. So we are locked and loaded, folks. This is not a drill. Big time esports racing is back.
Yeah, and all the Trons now making their way to the front. A little bit of a surge here, 2% gradient, but the moment that they run out of that kind of effort here,
there it is.
It's going to be interesting. To the front, CLS, Fisher now.
Gravel bikes to the front, please. Yep.
They may wait a moment for the little bit steeper sections. I mean, that's really where we saw a lot of the time game. I mean, like 15 seconds gaps were closed down in less than 30 seconds.
See the drafting power-up being used. Might as well use it now. That is a bummer power-up, to tell you the truth. If you ended up with the draft, that was sub-ideal, because the riders that are sitting on a steamroller are feeling really good about that. Steamroller, again, the desired power-up without any doubt here. So I understand why they're using it, because, Nathan, you might as well use the draft while you can. It's not going to do you any good on that 9% grade in a tiny little group. I mean,
The
it'll do
only
you.
thing we could see here is a steamroller with one of these Trons if they can hang on. So if I were on a gravel bike, I'd want to break these guys as early as I possibly could.
I think that applies at this point now. If you could break them, do it.
Good point. Good point.
Your inner
well, because the reality is that those Trons though they'll travel as faster than your gravel bike here. You know, if they do use a steamroller. So if they hang on to those final moments with a steamroller, you're getting no advantage in that sprint.
If you can make it into the last 500 meters and still have your steamroller, that's a game changer. Right.
Exactly. So we'll see how that plays out. I believe we saw that in the men's race.
There's one being used. So it's a 7% grade. It's now time where you're going to start seeing the steamrollers popping up, but the real talent riders, the big engines, are going to try to hold on to that. That's Tenselhoff moving to the front right now in that pink and purple jersey.
Keeping an eye on SGAB.
Now, is he on a gravel bike or a road bike?
He is on a gravel bike. He is on a gravel bike. Yes, definitely on a gravel bike. WLC here now, as you can see on the Canyon. Riding for WLC. It's going to be
Canyon Grail. Is the Canyon Grail? That's that double bar that you see. Is that the only gravel bike available?
No, there are others. There are others. You do see the right here on the left in the red. I'm not sure which.
Cervelo have one. It's certainly the most popular. It's certainly the most popular. This Canyon Grail.
It is the Canyon, and then this actually
like Canyon
is going to be the Cervelo. This is going to be the Cervelo. So Cervelo does have a gravel without those double bars. We do see a lot of the Trons getting dropped off now, not hanging on any longer. There's only one left. It's going to be
one Tron left. Yep.
Malguez, of course, here from Veritas, trying to hang on, getting dropped off now at this point. Actually, it's going to be the PTZ rider, Lemos here, and SGAB here with Gary and Tenselhoff trying to make something happen. They want to get rid of Lemos so badly at this point. Tenselhoff looking for this win, following the wheel. Now, it was Tenselhoff and Garricky last time over the top.
He's attacking. He is attacking right now. The Portuguese rider on the Tron bike is hitting out. They're down to, oh my goodness, if he's got a steamroller, this could be Lemos' race. The Portuguese Veritas team has been outstanding. I'm surprised to see 7 riders. Here it is.
Garricky's got to win this outright here, and Jet's still involved with 10. I mean, this is still a top 10 situation. They need to get rid of Ewald way earlier.
Nathan. The weight of the world is on Garricky's shoulders right now as he really can put his team into the playoffs. We believe a win is what it's going to take. He needs these 50 points waiting at the finish line, and we're down to, let's call it 700 meters to go.
And as you can see here now, we get into that 10% gradient. This is the final kick here before it flattens right on out all the way to the line. Lemos is going. He's got the steamroller. Exactly what we talked about here. They have no advantage. They're actually at a disadvantage to him. Tenselhoff now to the wheel, holding, waiting. Was it timed perfectly? The drafting power-up. Here comes Nozaki here. Garricky's gone. Garricky is not going to hang on. Wait, is he able to come through for the final moments? It looks like Jet's going to beat him out here. Here comes another steamroller, and Garricky's not even a part of the conversation here. Off the back. Yeah. He's got the feather power-up. No go. Or am I going to eat my words? He gets back on terms. Does he have a second kick? Did they put too much on the line already? But the way the new drafting power-up works, or excuse me, the new algorithm works, it may not be enough. 11 watts per kilogram.
200 meters.
Looking to come through. Will Tenselhoff do it? He's too far back. He's got to beat Jet to the line. This is it, and it's not going to happen. Tenselhoff, Team Jet with Ewald. Gerke for third. What a day of racing. That's a lot of points that Ewald. Talk about being patient today. Ewald with the patience. Absolutely incredible.
That's the name of the game. No, it's hard to believe that patience is the virtue that wins bike races at this level, but you just witnessed it again. That was fantastic. I love this course. Esports just absolutely rocking today around the globe. Let's go back and look at the finale here. This is the last 50 meters where Alex Tenselhoff just puts the accelerator down on the floorboard, leaves it there, and ends up holding on for the win. EY of Jet. I have a feeling, Nathan, that right there put them into the playoffs. We'll see if that's true. That's all preliminary, but I think the Jet did it.
What a move. I really...
Hey, there's that fox.
This moment right here when Lemos went, I thought you were right, Dave. I really thought that he was going to walk away with this one when he hit this right before the bridge, I think it was, wasn't it?
Still, the steamroller being played, I thought that would have been the ace in the hole for him. But unfortunately for him, but you know what? They still win the season. They'll be in the playoffs. They had a great year. They just don't get this cherry on top of the Sundays. Alex Tenselhoff comes and picks his pocket right there in the last 100 meters. And Tenselhoff of Wahoo Lacole's clearly got some great form right now. And he showed it.
Absolutely
Does
showed
that fox have a name, Nathan?
I don't know. Was it a fox? I'm not sure it was a fox. I thought there was like a frog thing we were looking at. I'm not even sure what it was we were looking at. Chat never even let us know. Chat didn't give us any information.
They don't know. Chat doesn't know either. Our group think. The Hive couldn't even help us today.
Gravel.
Well,
Gravel
fantastic
goes 1, 2,
to be
3
back.
Is what we're being told out here. Gravel goes 1, 2, and 3. We don't even have results outside the top 8 yet. That's how difficult things were as we wait for those.
We have riders that are still 15 minutes from finishing today. That shows you how...
let's chat a little bit about this here, Dave, real quickly. This is going to be the Women's West Division 1 that we were trying to get images of. We were unable to do so. But Zoe Langham, that's a conversation to have here from Wahoo Lacole. Having an amazing ride out here, beating some of the best we've ever seen out on Zwift. Look where Catherine Curry is, Jane Despas, Laura Massey. I mean, these are huge
big names.
Gabby Schumann here from Rose Beast Mode as well. The Brazilian rider, but living over in Germany right now, 45 seconds back. Sienna Hayes in fourth. I mean, Zoe just stomped on them.
Well, a quality win is defined by how tough the course was, but even more so who you beat. And she's got to be feeling like the world champion today, as that is a really strong field. That's a world-class field, Zoe. Congratulations on a great ride. And, I mean, it wasn't even – obviously, Rhea Mobbs, Sox for Watts rider, was taking the silver medal, all UK with Joe Blackburn up there for no pins, R3R. But, Nathan, look at the gaps going back from there. 45 seconds to Gabby. Wendy at 1 minute. Laura Massey, Jane Despas. When's the last time Catherine Curie finished over a minute back from the winner?
Yeah. I'm
Must have been a
going
lot
to eat
of
some words here,
tactics
too,
going
right
on.
now, Dave. I'm going to eat some words right now, too. Take a look at this. Crowdgen Stelvio qualifies.
Wow.
They jumped way up today.
So I hate to say it, but no pins R3R. It wasn't just Cryogen having a great day. No pins must have had a rubbish day because
that's huge. That Cryogen. I'm actually looking forward to watching Cryogen because is that not the
wow? That's huge. I'm surprised, to be honest.
Well,
to see
Sienna Hayes took fourth, but Joe Blackburn was there for no pins. I want to know outside of the top 10 what else went down. Obviously, lots.
Yeah, there must be something to that story, like some technical issues or riders who are unable to race today because of illness or something like that. Because, and it goes to show you it's not over until it's over, as they say. Sure. And, and Cryogen, certainly a team that's a franchise in esports. Stelvio making it into the playoffs. Good for them.
That's going to be fun to watch. Always loving the Cryogen team. In with the men that we just watched, it was Alex Tenselhoff coming on through with Taishu Iwa coming in for second. Tom Gerke there in for third place there. Artur Lemos followed up by Naofumi Nozaki. David Fisher for Team CLS. Werner wins. Josh McClellan. Philippe Matos for PTZ. And then it's going to be Reb Beatty. Jet in two of them in the top 10 and taking down that second place ahead of Gerke. I'm not sure it's going to work out.
The only way, right, if Gerke was in the Tenselhoff position, I think the math would be a lot tougher. We'd be sharpening our pencils. But when you see that EUI takes second and then the only other rider up in the top 10 from those two teams,
Ooh, Dave,
and that was the conversation.
I got to wait.
Is it?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna wait. I need confirmation.
Yeah, this is all preliminary. You can't make that call for sure. I'm just going on
No.
my hunch. I still think it's going to be Jet, but Garricky picked up a lot of bonus points, didn't he? I mean, he had a sprint win earlier. We'll see. It's unfair to the teams actually to guess like this.
Well, I mean,
we still have
I'm waiting to
finishers out
see
there
on these.
too.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
Because
still
there may
points.
still be
Yeah.
finishers and points. Because like they update live, and so because there are finishers still out on course, we're gonna wait a little bit here before we really start sticking any stakes, anything. Right now, it's looking pretty good for SG. I'll just say. I'll just say it's looking pretty
Is
good.
that
We're gonna have
right?
to wait.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that right?
which
Well,
I'm a
you know
little
what?
bit surprised.
Well, me too, but good for Tom Garricky for fighting out there in that third place, finishing in front of Arthur Limos there might be the difference for them. So fair play. We'll wait and get the data. Nick Evans here taking the win in our EMEA West
in the
Division
broadcast booth. Kev Mao is letting us know. Well, how am I reading things that off, Kev? I'm sorry. Dave, did you catch anything there that we were really far off there? I'm sorry if we didn't get something completely right. We appreciate all you guys, though.
What was the issue?
I think Kawataro. Perhaps I didn't get correctly, or as well as 10L Soft. I say Tenselhoff because maybe I just like tinsel. I like Christmas a lot. See, Karsten Ivany, it doesn't make you warm your heart that Alex makes me think of Christmas. I mean, come on.
Yeah, right. It's the spirit. It's the spirit of the name. No, I hear you. And you know what? It's always a work in progress. That's for sure. Nick Evans.
This is the C category.
You missed my joke earlier, Nathan. Canyon like Ganyon. I was saying when we were talking about.
That's what we need. We just need rhyming. We just need people to help us with the rhymes.
Right. Well, here's an easy name. Nick Evans. If you can't get that one right, you probably should get out of the broadcast business as the Cranley CCBABS rider, or the Babs, taking the win. Andrei Kozachev for SDW Skeeters, silver medal. Toon Bailmakers, the Woolly Rhinos rider, his teammate G. Reg Davy Daviet. I went a little too deep on that one. The American in fourth. Fifth place today, Sam Bucock of Electric Spirit.co Vesper. His teammate Jimmy Turner from Scotland in sixth. Adrian Benusilio, another Woolly Rhino, in seventh from France. Marcella Arzivu, that's going to be the Macongo rider from Mexico. And then we've got Sam Singleton and James Windle from the United Kingdom rounding out our top 10. Singleton with the Jackals and Windle with the Rafa men.
In the D category, as they did a little bit less out there as far as distance go, but still a long race, almost an hour here with Lorenzo Novella in for Team Italy 2. It's going to be Alan Burrell there for Glasgow Tri-Griff. It's going to be Paul Martin for third and Thames Valley Triers. Marco Brigolato for Team Italy 2. Gus Borhorst for RR Dangerous Rhinos out of the Netherlands in fifth place there. Domenico Simoni there for Team Italy 2. Josh Starkey for the Dangerous Rhinos there. Paolo Caroli, followed up by John Fuller and Leigh Tomlinson. That's Team Italy 2. SDW Vespa and FCC Delta Blues rounded out your top 10 for 8th, 9th, and 10th. In the B category, we've only got 3 finishers so far. Liz Van Houweling was racing in the men's mixed and won the race by 8 seconds, Dave. This course continues to be some of the best Zwift racing we've ever seen. In APAC, we had that as well in the B category with a woman, I think, walking away from the rest of the men. What a move. What a race by Van Houweling.
Yeah, it's a whole new era. You're going to see more and more of that. I noticed when Kolchinski was attacking yesterday, there were some of the top men saying that attack would have been dropping the men's Peloton. And it's, again, we're moving into a whole new era. Bike racing, it's an exciting time. It really is, with esports and teams like Legion and women really starting to have their moment in the limelight. Liz, you're a legend. Liz Van Houweling for Provision Racing taking the win. Daniel Wells will be our silver medal Ist, Raul Christian, taking third and the bronze medal today. AHDR Cheesecake Bombers is the team for Daniel. Raul racing for Dirty Beast Alligators. It's Jess Winter and another Dane, Martin Yule, there fourth and fifth today. Not running for the same team, though. Jess with DZR, the Road Rascals, and then Martin Yule with the TBR, the big ring, 48 Teeth. 48 Teeth is not that big of a ring. Alan Barker in sixth. David Fuller for seventh for the SDW Hornets. In eighth is James Bark for the INC Aliens. Arthur Yar Run DFC. It's a great name. Daniel Simpkins. And it's going to be the Australian Dan Poynton for Dirty Beast Alligators, rounding out our top 10. That's for our EMEA West Division 1 men's mixed Bs. Liz, way to go.
What an amazing race there by Liz. Now, cool. Okay, there's been updates to the points. I got SGA's hopes up. I'm just gonna leave it alone. I don't even want to show. I think so. Maybe disclaim that in case if the rider's still on course, I think we can show this. We're being told we can show this.
Again,
so
preliminary.
Preliminary.
This is preliminary.
Veritas go through. Jet, we're behind until just a minute ago. And whoever was crossing the finish line, you made it happen for Jet, just so you know. Those minor placings really, really matter, and you can see exactly why, because they were actually behind by 3 points until about a minute and a half ago, whoever crossed the finish line with the team.
The beauty of WTRL is the inclusivity, the community, and the fact that every damn rider matters out here, and that is case in point for Jet Racing.
100%. Now, preliminary, everybody, everything we've shown out throughout the day, there's still checks. If anybody has anything that they want to, whatever that they need to do to make sure that everything is squeaky clean and ready to go. But that is where things currently stand for the race that we just watched. And good luck to everyone next week in the EMEA that did qualify out of these divisions for that team time trial. Dave, when it comes to the playoffs, team time trial on Tuesday. I love the setup that we're going to have broadcast again all day long. We're going to have the ability to see who's who when it comes to one of the best ways to see whether or not you know how to race Zwift, in my opinion. It might not suit the talent when it comes to just smashing a hill climb, smashing a sprint, knowing how to sprint. But when it comes to really knowing the drafting algorithm and knowing how to play the game, when it comes to controlling bike choice, all of that different kind of stuff, and being able to feather your efforts where you need to and push the efforts, and just who's who when it comes to pure strength. There's something really pure about the TTT and being able to be a good team that is a well-oiled machine out there as well.
You get out what you put in with so much with your training and with team time trialing. If you haven't rehearsed this, it's like being in a school play. If you only showed up for the last couple rehearsals, you are not going to enjoy being on stage. And I tell you what, if you haven't been practicing your team time trial, when the pressure hits and everything's on the line, you need to have rehearsed this. You need to understand your role and how this works. And that's what WTRL Thursdays are all about. It's really where this all started. In a lot of ways. That brought us into the modern era of esports racing, and the team time trial will always be the roots of being successful in esports. If you can't do that, God be with you.
And then we've got next week as well with, on Saturday, Dave, the reality of that climb on Innsbruck. It's a points race, but they're going up to the top of the Innsbruck climb.
I hate to say it, I haven't even looked at the course. This is Innsbruck KOM then?
Yeah, they're going to be doing the Innsbruck KOM. So this
challenging
is
little circuit. You get the leg snapper 3 times then, I'm guessing, before you then start the ascent as you leave Innsbruck up to the top of the KOM. So this has been a brutal, brutal day traditionally, an exciting and a great course to use to determine who's going to make it up into Premier. Exciting next couple of weeks coming up with our WBR ride. That's actually 138, isn't it? So that's going to be into December's. What are we at this week for WTRL? 135?
I want to say 136. I got to double check.
136. We missed a couple because of our little absence. But
Yeah, Nathan got
it's
pretty
exciting
sick,
to be back.
So we're still. I still have like a
136.
metallic taste in the back of my eye. I have this weird thing going on. It's really interesting.
Let me just
for
tell you,
sure.
Nathan, it's so good to have you back. I'm
I
really,
appreciate
really
it.
happy that
Really
you're okay.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We missed
next
you.
week, obviously, round 1 playoffs, team time trial, Watopia Waistband, and then we will be out on the points race, Innsbruck KOM after party on Saturday/Sunday morning for those that are in the lands down under. So make sure to be in here for that. Those are actually already, I believe, scheduled, or we're going to be scheduling them here in the next couple hours. And we'll be back, though, in a few hours with America's East and West. Kate, somehow a kangaroo must have hopped on over through my living room and onto a plane over to Kate because not feeling the best at this moment. So best wishes to her to get well. So you got to deal with me for the rest of the night, Dave. Sorry.
All right.
So
I'll
it'll
make
be
do.
we'll make do. We'll make do. Appreciate everybody. Make sure to hit those follow buttons and comment, like, subscribe. We'll see you in a few hours with America's West. And as always, head on over to WTRL.racing for the rest of the results as they do come in. And we'll see you in a few hours for America's East. As always, right on.